And for Max Verstappen, of all people, to say he needs more room, it's laughable.
That disgusted me. Like, I was so upset after seeing that because it's racing. The amount of moves that he's made in the last 5 years has been so controversy, but everything's fine how he does it.
Sprint weekend brings some drama.
Yep.
Maybe that's why Max hates it so much. But this right here, this is something that could be brewing for the next 5-10 years, depending on if Max decides to stay in the sport or not.
Yeah.
But what happened at corner 1, 2, and 3 during the sprint race really pissed Max Verstappen off.
Yeah. It's racing, man. Like, I don't know what like, they made some contact. Yes, you're on a street course that is one of the narrow, it has the narrowest section on the whole entire calendar on this street course, and you're trying to hang around outside for the first 4 corners. It ain't gonna happen, man. It's not gonna happen. And then you don't think that there's gonna be any contact? It's like, is everyone supposed to bow down to you? Is that what's supposed to happen? Is everyone supposed to just back out and be like, here, Max, here's your championship. You're the championship leader. Let's just have this. Go ahead.
Well, I think that's what he thinks. Because in the post-race, first of all, he jumped out the car. They had their exchange there. I'm not really going to comment on that because that happens.
Yeah,
that happens.
Everyone's spoiling.
That happens.
Leave it alone, whatever.
But then to do the post pressers, and just say things like, "Well, he's not on the pace. He shouldn't be in front of me anyway, so he should move out of the way."
How did he get there?
It's like we're racing. This is racing. The objective is to finish first.
Yeah.
Right? And I think Max Verstappen has gotten used to battling a older and more mature Lewis Hamilton.
Yeah.
And he forgets that there are young dogs on that grid. And given the opportunity, they are shoving it in on you. It's like we said in Australia with Alonso, you know. He left the door open for Sainz. Sainz said, I'm taking this. That's the mentality you have to have if you're trying to compete in Formula One. And for Max Verstappen, of all people, to say he needs more room, it's laughable, really. Like,
he didn't put him in the wall. He didn't make him, drive off the track. They ran side by side for 3 corners. What do you expect? Like, him to just be like, oh man, I'm on the inside. You know what? It's the points leader. Let me just back out because it's Max Verstappen. Like, talk about privilege.
Yeah, for real.
Like, I don't know what else to say except, like, that disgusted me. Like, I was so upset after seeing that because it's racing. The amount of moves that he's made in the last 5 years has been so controversy, but everything's fine how he does it. The second someone does it to him, oh, you're not supposed to do that. You're what? Because he's not in the championship hunt with you, everyone has to back down to you? Checo's the only one that's allowed to actually race against you? No. Everyone can race against you. Albon can race against you. Anyone can race against you. You're on a racetrack. That's it. Race them. You put yourself in a bad position, sorry, people are going to capitalize on it. Like, I don't understand what he expects everyone else to do.
Well, the thing about it, too, that is rather annoying in regards, in my opinion, of course, is just he's been whining about the format since Thursday. Yeah. And it's like, whether you like it or not, this is the format. This is what it is. And what I don't understand from a driver like Max is, listen, you've been racing your whole life. You jumped in a go-kart when you were 3-4 years old. You competed then. And the format is always the same in that level of motorsport on your way up to being a pro. There's a practice session, 1 if not 2. There's a qualifying session. There's a heat race, which essentially is the sprint.
Yeah.
And then there is the final.
Yep.
So you've been doing it your entire life. And now all of a sudden, when you're a $40, $50 million paid driver and you work 4 days out of the week, I know he doesn't really, but like, let's be honest, you work Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, right? To 23 times out of the year, it's not even 100 days working days,
Yeah.
And you're complaining about having to go race. And it's just like, but it comes from the top down because Horner and them are like, well, it's going to cost us money and blah, blah, blah. There wasn't a single, other than Sonoda, no issues.
Yeah.
No issues. All the issues came in the practice and the qualifying sessions.
Yeah.
So what are we talking about here? Listen, you guys want to, take a poo-poo on Drive to Survive, fans. Whether you like it or not, it is helping the sport grow. Yeah. There are more races now because of the success of a series like that. There are more casual fans. Like, people like racing. For all you purists, what you're saying is you would like to watch an FP1, FP2, and FP3 compared to a race.
Yeah.
And I don't understand that. I really don't understand that.
I don't either. I love it. I love the sprint races. I really do. It just shows that, when you get a sprint race, especially with this type of format, there's no risk.
It levels the playing field is what it does. That's how George ended up ahead of Max, right?
Like, there's no risk anymore. There's a 17-lap shootout. One set of tires, let's go. Let's see who can push this car to the limit and get there. But no. He wants to do the 3 practice sessions and a qualifying and then the race and it's too much racing. You're doing the same amount of track time. You're just racing instead of practicing.
You're a racing driver.
I don't know.
You're a racing driver.
I don't understand. This whole weekend I just feel like every weekend he starts whining more and more and more, and it's just like, man, like you.
Yeah, and
you know how lucky you are to be where you are? Do you understand that? Do you understand that, Max? Do you understand how lucky you are to be in the position you are? Anyone else in this world that is a racer that wants to be on that grid, I would do whatever it takes to be on that grid. Not so much. You just take it for granted to what you do.
You were given
everything your whole life to get to F1, and now you're in F1, and all you do is complain about it. So why don't you give your spot to me? I'll take it.
Exactly. You took the words right out of my mouth. Every weekend you're threatening to leave the sport. Leave the sport.
Yeah.
As we say, go on.
Yeah, go on.
Go on the way and let somebody come in there who wants to race. There are people throughout the world that will gladly stick an F1 car on the track 365 days out of the year.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yourself included.
Yeah.
All the people that race underneath you with your team. Like, that is the goal. If you jump behind the wheel of anything competitively as a racing driver, the goal for all of us is to get to Formula 1.
Yep.
And for him to be saying this kind of stuff, it really is privileged. And to me, it kind of tarnishes the sport. It makes F1 look bad.
Yeah.
So the question I have for you now is Max Verstappen, as champion of Formula 1, bad for Formula 1?
When he acts like this, yes. For sure, because everyone looks back and they're like, "Oh, why? Oh, the champion of your sport doesn't even want to do that. Your champion of your sport complains about the sprint races. The champion of your sport is the one that doesn't want to do this many races. It's all for the fans in the end. You are paid millions and millions and millions of dollars to go race a car around a circuit. Yes, it's high risk. I totally agree, and I understand that.
But you know the risk going your whole life.
Your whole life. You've been in a go-kart since you were 3 years old. You were in a car at 14.
Right.
You know your risk. Your dad put you in that car at 14. He knew the risk. Get over it. If you don't want to be there, then give someone that actually wants to be there and that actually pushes and wants to try hard to make the sport grow. Everything that you're complaining about is just pissing everyone else off or making the sport look bad because people outside the sport that don't understand why the champion is complaining about the sport.
Complaining about racing.
When he's the only one that's complaining.
And he has the fastest car. And honestly, he's probably the best driver on the grid right now.
Yes. So, it's like Jordan going and saying, "Hey man, I don't like basketball. I want to play 3 quarters instead of 4 quarters."
Perfect.
Perfect. No, Jordan did his shit to get there.
Perfect. That's exactly what it's like. It's like Jordan complaining about playing all the games and playing all the playoff games to win a championship.
Yeah, it frustrates me. It just frustrates me. He doesn't understand how lucky he is to be in that spot and how he was spoon-fed that spot.
Right.
Like, he does not understand. He goes through it because he was given to his whole life. He was going to F1.
Yeah.
In go-karts, he was going to F1. We all knew it. We all knew that his dad was pushing to get him into an F1 car.
He didn't even really get it. He didn't do a feeder series.
No.
Like
he just jumped straight into F1 after F3. Like that doesn't happen.
Meanwhile, you got a guy like De Vries.
Yeah.
Right?
who should have been
ran around the gamut. Should have been in F1 7 years ago.
Yeah.
You know,
and now
won everything else.
My buddy Robert Wickens. He should have been in that F1 car, but no, he didn't have the money to get there. He was He is the most talented Canadian driver out there, and he is not on the F1 grid because he didn't have the money. But Max, here you go. Your dad's Verstappen, so here you go. Here's your go-kart. Your whole career. Here it is. I'm serving it to you, and you just have to accept it.
Yeah.
Like, you don't understand how privileged you are for doing this. And he just lets it go. He's just like, oh yeah, I'll complain about this all day long. Oh, it's my livelihood. You chose to do this livelihood.
And you made enough money to walk away.
Yes.
Like, he's $50 million a year.
A year, yeah.
So, look, $50 million, you can set yourself up.
Yeah.
Like, you can walk away today at 24, 25, never work another day in your life.
Yep.
So if that's what you keep doing, and you keep threatening Formula 1, not FIA, not Liberty Entertainment, if you keep threatening them to do it,
just go.
You make your bed, you gotta lie in it.
Yeah.
Right? So I think what happened this weekend, especially the way he handled this situation with George, Formula 1 and racing, and like when you look, it's kind of an elitist thing.
Yeah.
And they don't like behavior like that. That type of behavior is frowned upon.
Yes.
When it comes to the people with the big money.
Yeah.
Right? The people who call the shots and move things around. And I wouldn't be surprised if this morning there was a conversation about our brand ambassador, our champion, taking shots at our sport every single day.
Yeah.
I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that. You don't want to do nothing. You don't want to wake up. You don't want to roll out of bed. Like, what's going on? I don't know what to say.
Look at the previous champions before him, what they do for the world. Hamilton and Vettel.
Yeah.
They do everything possible to make sure that the sport, one, is going in the right direction, and it's growing.
And it's accessible to everyone.
Exactly. And two, that they are trying to make a difference.
Yes.
Where Max just whines and complains every weekend. He's not doing anything to help the sport. All he does is, oh, it's too many races. Oh, there's too many this. Oh, we don't want to do this. Why are we doing this? Let's do it. And all it does is, and the only people that are saying something is all the fans that are not Max fans, but people that are real. And people are like...
Objective.
Yeah.
We can objectively appreciate what the sport is. We're not, brainwashed by Max Verstappen. Listen, I've said it countless times here. He's a fantastic driver. I just finished saying he's the best driver on the grid and he's got the best car. He should win every race. But I don't like his personality. No. And I don't like his behavior. And I don't like how he walks around the paddock. And I'm not saying every driver or every champion has to be a role model. Right, but you've made a great point right there. For the past 10 to 15 years, maybe we got a little spoiled by seeing Lewis Hamilton and Sebastian Vettel, being great ambassadors for the sport and propping up inclusivity because they use their platform to stand for something too. And when they don't like something, they say it, but they say it in a different way. Yep. Nobody is bigger than the brand. Yep. Ask Don Lemon. Yeah. Ask Tucker Carlson. Yeah. Nobody is bigger than the brand. So I wouldn't be surprised if there was a little shift in favoritism. And one more thing, and I hate to bring Abu Dhabi 2021 back up, but for all you racing purists who just go, Max this and he's right, it should be FP1, FP2, FP3, because you're in it for the racing. What do you think about the last finale of 2021 in Abu Dhabi? That was racing? Yeah. That was not by the book. That was for entertainment, for the Drive to Survive fans. But you propped that up because he won, right? Yeah. Right. Yeah. Enough of you. It's for Darryl Timbers. James Nellas, drop a comment below, man. Max Verstappen carrying on and just acting a fool on the grid, doesn't want to go racing, causing problems with George Russell. And I think as soon as Russell gets that car, this is the beginning phase of the next 5 to 10 year rivalry that will really polarize the sport. And to bring up the comment after the races of him being like, okay, we'll wait till next time. The next time we go through a corner, you'll see. And it's like, damn, I've seen it all the time. You do it every time.
What's different from every single time you pass? Like, I don't get it. Like, I don't know. Whatever.
Oh, man. It's another Race Weekend Canada's F1 show. And at least the sprint race gave us something to talk about this week.